Hello. So I really want to share some thoughts on the integration for 5-MEO DMT because I really believe that that is the most important part. It's not that you have an experience, a little puff, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Just so you know, it continues to work on you when you're moving through life. You will be reminded of those lessons that you learned, and you will continue to integrate those learnings as you navigate your reality. So it's really important for you to know because this isn't a recreational experience. This is a medicine, and the medicine is still working on me. I kind of want to share a little bit of what that looks like for me. And I also want to say that the same can be said, the same kind of feeling was on the other side of my 5 experience. It was in the weeks approaching 5. There were things that I was processing in preparation. It's almost like my psyche was cleaning the house, just getting ready for an important guest, and so I was doing some work. I had mentioned it in the last video near the end, but I want to really clarify it because it happened a couple times. I woke up a few days after my ceremony. I woke up feeling like I was emerging out of that oneness, that perception of oneness. And the word perception doesn't even feel right because I don't even feel like I had perception. I don't even feel like I was there. I can only really say that it felt like I was being born into this reality, and being born into this reality with an adult mind, but also with the excitedness of a child, with the eyeballs of novelty, and seeing the freshness of it all, and seeing the potential that exists here for me to explore. That was after a 4-hour sleep, so I didn't sleep very much that night. A couple nights later, I also didn't sleep very much for some reason. I don't know if the 5 had anything to do with it, but I was just not getting enough sleep in general, and it was another 4 hours of sleep. That morning, I woke up again in the same state, being in a state of awe. Some mild visuals, colorful, very similar to NN-DMT, this colorful kind of fractalized, shape-shifting environment. But yeah, like puncturing through that, swimming through that, and then waking up in this dimension and not feeling super groggy. I actually felt the opposite. I felt blessed. I felt blessed to be here. I didn't feel the need to go back to sleep. In my waking life, I've been experiencing some very similar feelings. I've been feeling like I've woken up in many ways. I've woken up in ways that are so familiar, in a way that feels like I've always been like this, in a way that feels like this has always been true, and I've always known this way of being deep in my core. My programming had it so that I was in a state of forgetting that truth, forgetting where I really come from. Navigating reality has been interesting. It's not to say that I'm not encountering stressful events, because I've been dealing with anxiety for a large portion of my life. The feelings and the thoughts that come up when that circuit is running, that anxiety circuit, doing its thing, they're running in the background. I can hear them yammering on. So familiar. I've heard it all before. It's great. It just doesn't grip me the way it used to. I don't feel like I'm being driven around by my anxiety anymore. I don't feel like it has the power to hijack me anymore. I feel like I see it. It's there. There it is. It's part of my experience. Some part of it needs to express itself. But I also see that me giving my attention to it in the way that I was, that level of importance, and being like, this is really important, I have to put all my attention onto this, I have to control this part of my life and control this part of my experience, and anxiety is more important than any other feeling. No, I mean, it's just there. It's a part of my experience that I'm having. It's part of the transient wave of emotion that I experience as a human, and thoughts. It's all just rolling by. It's all okay. It's totally fine. I feel very separate from my anxiety, like I possess it, like it's this little treasured gift that I have. There is, some part of me who still claims it as mine, and yet I still don't feel like it's driving me the way it was. It's really cool to witness from this perspective. My feeling is that if I don't have that charge about those thoughts or those feelings anymore, if I don't have that feeling of urgency, putting all this importance on it, that it's actually just gonna stop feeding the circuit. Like that my attention is actually feeding it. And the more I'm like, meh, the less important it becomes. And then it just like softens out all the edges and keeps replaying. The edges get softer and softer, and it just keeps going, and eventually I suspect that it'll just fade away. I feel like I've grown up. I feel like I've gotten to a point, and I don't attribute this only to 5. I think that it's 5, but it's also in combination with a lot of the other work that I've done. And I feel like I've just gotten to a point where I can allow all of that to be there. But at the same time, it's not driving. It's a passenger in the car. It's a crying baby in a car seat. My job is to not let the crying baby be up at the front, grabbing the wheel, trying to drive. You know, my job is to drive the car and get us to where we're going. And if I have to pull over, and if I have to, you know, tend to this, if this is a more serious thing and I need to hold it for a little while, this child, this little part of me, if I need to hold that, okay, yeah, I'll hold that. Let's take some time. Let's sit here for a minute. I'm recognizing the moments where I need to hold myself, you know? Maybe it's not so scary to be here. Maybe it's not so scary to be in the moment. Actually, it's a lot safer here than I realized. That I can have all of these experiences happening. I can have all these random pains taking place in my body. I can have all these thoughts and these emotions, and I can have all of that. That can all be there. But I can also just rest comfortably inside of it all. You know, I can also just trust that this is part of my experience, and that this is what I'm here for. The ego can't say what the most optimal experience is. The ego does not understand the vastness of being everything and nothing at once. The ego does not understand that at all. So the problems and the conflicts the ego experiences are so limited. Once we get a glimpse of what's beyond that scope, it's hard to give importance to that narrow lens. It's hard to give importance to that anymore. The challenges that we face in reality are actually invitations to sink down into the moment, to really be here. It's a call to action, you know? A lot of the things I already knew, but couldn't really take in because the way the ego had its hand on the wheel so firmly. And now it's like, okay, you know what? Like there's a more trusting relationship taking place internally within myself, of all my parts, with all the parts inside of me, all the aspects of self are all in this car together, and I'm my highest expression in the driver's seat with both hands on the wheel. You know, ego can sit in the passenger seat right beside me. We can all just, you know, have some good conversation, play some good music, but ego cannot drive. Ego can make suggestions about where we go, you know, ego can change the music. But at the end of the day, I'm in control here. What's most important is that we create an environment that is conducive to healing, is conducive to evolving the spirit. We're not doing it alone, we're doing it all together. The ego's so scared because it feels so alone, but it's not alone. You know, there's this we're all togetherness that's happening all the time. And when I say that, it's funny because I know this. I've felt it. I've maybe even said it many times, but I've never really felt it. When you really feel that, it changes things, and in ways that are irreversible. I just really wanted to share that because you can watch all the trip reports in the world, but until you really have an experience like this for yourself, yeah, your ego, you're really only hearing it from this lens. You're really only hearing it from that narrow scope. You have to experience it for yourself, you know? And if you're watching this because you're curious about experiencing it, I don't want to say that you have to go do this. I don't know what you need to do. I have no idea where you're at in your path, and I'll never know what's right for you. I can only really give you information that I've extracted from my experience. But I do trust that we find these little pieces of data along the way when we're in search of something, when we're really trying to embark upon our soul's journey in a serious way. We come upon these sharings, these offerings, these treasures. What we do with that is up to us. If this is what you're up to, if you're thinking five alive, get ready, because the evolution and the growing it doesn't stop with that. It doesn't stop 5 minutes after that. It doesn't stop 3 hours after that. It keeps going. You are adjusted, okay? Like you are, it's like a chiropractor for your soul. You get reassembled. You get put in your body properly. You are now more in alignment than you were before. And you have to get ready for that. And you have to be in a place of letting go. You have to be in a place of trust and surrender. If you really want to take as much as you can from this experience, you have to be, trusting that you're here for a reason, trusting that you've got this divine appointment with yourself, that you've got this divine appointment with existence itself, that you have the most profound opportunity to experience reality outside of the single pointed lens that we've all been looking through, That's big, and it's really important, and it's not to be taken lightly. If you choose to do this, I'll tell you, it'll be one of the most profound things that you've ever done. It will change you. It will rewire your psyche. It'll rewire you in the exact ways that you need. So I bow to the part of you who is in search for a next stepping stone on your journey. I bow to the part of you who wants to find healing, because that part of you that part of you is working towards healing the collective. That part of you is a part of me, and I'm a part of you, and we're all doing this work together. I just want to say I support that, and I think we're all doing a really awesome job wherever it is that we are on our journeys. Whether we do a 5 experience or whether we're just watching a YouTube video about a 5 experience, we're all doing the work we're here to do. So that's it. That's all I wanted to share. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen, to hear me. And I want to just encourage you to take the time to listen and to really hear what's going on for you, moment to moment, try to do some check-ins. Try to just really tune into what's here. Take that time. So often we're trying to escape the moment, we're trying to get away from what's here. And that's free. That doesn't cost anything. You don't need any drugs to do that. You don't need any chemicals. You don't need any medicine, whatever you want to call it. You don't need any of that. If you don't want to have that kind of extreme experience, try just being right here. Make that a practice. That too is quite a profound thing to do for yourself. It's quite a beautiful gift as well. And that's what we're all here to do. So I wish you well on your journey. And thank you for taking the time. And I will check back in with you later, okay? All the best. Bye.